Welcome to Tech Blueprint, a window that lets you know the latest technology news in the world. Recently, Trump sent two tweets in a row, saying that he had a fruitful call with the Mexican president and met with the Japanese trade representative. At the same time, when mentioning the issue of tariffs, he said that he did not want to further increase China's tariffs, believing that if they were raised, no one would buy Chinese goods. It is not difficult to see from this statement that he has begun to give in. In short, it is a sentence: tariffs can no longer be raised higher, and Americans themselves also want to buy Chinese goods. Why did Trump suddenly change his words? On the surface, he wanted to appear very generous, and it seemed that he took the initiative to let China go. But in-depth analysis will reveal that in fact he was forced to make concessions under domestic pressure. The most critical signal came from the White House itself. The official denied the plan to impose a 245% tariff on China, and the U.S. Treasury Secretary even publicly expressed his hope to meet with China. What does this mean? China's countermeasures have already made the United States feel painful. Look at how accurate China's serial combination punches are, turning to Brazil to buy agricultural products to replace American soybeans and beef, abandoning Boeing and negotiating with Airbus, restarting free trade zone negotiations with Japan and South Korea, intensively visiting Southeast Asian countries to consolidate regional relations. Even Huang Renshuan of the technology giant Nvidia made an exception and visited China in formal attire. These actions are ahead of the United States, making Washington restless. I noticed that the United States has begun to split. California took the lead in challenging Trump's tariff policy, and opposition voices from all walks of life have been heard one after another. Interestingly, Trump always said that the ball is on China's side before, and asked China to negotiate first, but now he is eager to send a peace signal. This change is too dramatic. Why is the United States so anxious all of a sudden? Because Trump underestimated the extent of his tariff war on the U.S. economy. The volatility of U.S. stocks has intensified, the confidence in the Treasury market is insufficient, and there is even a jaw-dropping phenomenon of Americans flying to China to buy on behalf of others. If this crisis cannot be resolved before the midterm elections, the Republican Party will pay a heavy price. Even more ironic is that Trump's attempt to win over allies to jointly boycott China has completely failed. Major economies such as the European Union and Japan have made it clear that they will not rush to reach an agreement with the United States. As economist Krugman pointed out, Europe does not trust Trump and is worried that he will settle accounts after the situation stabilizes. China, on the other hand, seized the opportunity to expand the battlefield to the international stage. At the informal meeting of the United Nations on April 13, China will lead the discussion on the issue of the abuse of tariffs by the United States. 193 member states have received the notification. What does this mean? Most countries in the world are uniting to resist the unilateralism and bullying of the United States. U.S. experts: China has taken the initiative. American economics expert Adam Person even told the outside world, China has taken the initiative in the trade war. Person pointed out that the United States misjudged the initiative in the trade war, which actually lies in China, because its supply chain is highly dependent on Chinese products. Rashly increasing tariffs or interrupting trade will lead to material shortages, increased inflation, and economic stagflation in the United States. China can alleviate the impact by replacing US dollar reserves, so the United States' intensification of disputes is actually damaging its own economy and weakening international investment confidence. Different from the high tariffs established by the United States to establish trade barriers. Today, China is following the trend of history, taking over the banner of open trade and maintaining a fair order in global trade. Trump is in a dilemma at the moment, which is entirely caused by himself. He seriously underestimated the world's determination to maintain the multilateral trading system. Even Federal Reserve Chairman Powell explicitly refused to cut interest rates to save the market, which doubled Trump's pressure. So, when you hear Trump say, "I don't want to raise tariffs anymore," don't be confused by the surface phenomenon. This is not charity, but a forced concession. If you want to really end this trade war, Trump must put aside his arrogance and take the first step. Otherwise, his political career may end early because of this self-directed farce. The more anxious the United States is to negotiate and reach an agreement, the more it will create and exaggerate the atmosphere of pressure on China, and various unrealistic topics will emerge one after another. In essence, this is still the old routine of extreme pressure, and China will not be easily fooled. China's attitude towards negotiations couldn't be clearer. China can talk, but there are three conditions: equality, reciprocity, and respect. Speaking of respect, members of the Trump team had better say less harsh words that damage Sino-US relations. Vance's inappropriate name for China is really unacceptable. Equality means that the United States can put aside its arrogant attitude and cancel those unreasonable tariffs on China. As for reciprocity, negotiations must be based on win-win situations, not just thinking about the interests of the United States. Only by achieving these 3 points can Sino-US negotiations really start on the table. China has taken a firm attitude of not making concessions to the 125% tariff imposed by the United States. This is not just a casual remark, but has been proved by actual actions. Trump should not expect China to make any compromises in this regard according to the United States' ideas. Moreover, he is waiting for a call from China, so it is better to be down to earth and stop hyping up those tense remarks that are out of thin air.